Okay. So what has happened after the first generation? First generation actually, as I said, the ENIAC, EDVAC, UNIVAC. So you can see the vacuum tube word, ENIAC, EDVAC, UNIVAC. The word vacuum tube is inside like vac, 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 vac. These are the first generation computers, right? The vacuum tubes were like, it's a high power consuming equipment, and the size of computer is like larger as a building or large room, and the calculation speed or the processing speed is measured in milliseconds, and it costs a lot. It is not possible to have personal computers because personal computer means a building. Universities had this kind of computers. Some military, the forces for security purpose, they had this kind of computers, and some governments, main countries, some governments had desk computers, no personal computers. But when it comes to the second generation, the computer size was smaller with the transistor, because transistor is only few millimeters, very small unit, a few millimeter unit. So with that, with the transistors, the size of the computer was reduced. So this is like IBM 730 machine. Let me show you actual image of IBM International Business Machines 7030, and this is the machine. So it is possible to move this machine from one place to another place. It was possible to move this machine from one place to another place, but still you need few people. Maybe you need a lorry, you need a truck to move this from one place to another place, because this machine is also large, not large as the first generation machine. පළවෙනි generation එකේ තරම් ලොකු නැහැ. ඒ වුණාට මේකත් ඉතින් එක්කෙනෙකුට තනියෙන් උස්සගෙන යන්න බෑ. You can see the size of keyboard, and actually it used printers. First generation, second generation, basically they use printers. මුලින්ම printers තමයි වැඩිපුර use උනේ. Monitor වලට වඩා කෙලින්ම ඒගොල්ලෝ print out එකක් විදිහට තමයි output එක ගත්තේ. Monitors පාවිච්චි වුණා. හැබැයි හරි rare. Monitors ටිකක් අඩුවෙන් පාවිච්චි වුණේ. ඒ කියන්නේ second generation එකේ අන්තිමට වගේ තමයි monitors. ඊට කලින් printers තමයි වැඩිපුර famous. ඕනම computer එකකට print එකක් high කරලා තියෙනවා. So that was the main. So here this one you can see monitor or display is given less priority. Printout was given high priority that time. But now it's the reverse, right? Now monitors are given more priority. But when it comes to third generation, computers were smaller. Further, it was smaller than this, and this is measured in microseconds. Remember that this will be asked in the examination. The first generation measured in milliseconds, or you can say hertz, kilohertz. The second generation, it's kilohertz, megahertz. Kilohertz, megahertz. That was the measurement, speed measurement. And so one example is IBM or personal computer, or here CDC 6600, or let's say IBM 360, IBM 360 computer. So you can see this computer can be moved from one place to another place. It's like a cabinet. This is a single computer. It looks like a cabinet, looks like a refrigerator, fridge, right? You can move this computer from one place to another place, but still you need, actually one person cannot move this. Still one person cannot move this. You need some support from some other people to move this computer from one place to another place. Still you can see no significant, actually no, you cannot see a big monitor or something like that there. Mainly what is used is this keyboard with the printer. Keyboard with the printer, that was used in the, and the monitors were there but not given the priority. This time the monitor screens were there, but actually the priority was given to the printout again. But when it comes to fourth generation, here let's say monitor. So actually monitors were rarely used, but not, I'm not sure whether IBM 360 used monitor. You can see these screens. With this image, you can see that. Okay, this was the monitor which is used in the earlier era in this generation. Black and white monitors, basically. Black and white monitors were used. I started learning ICT in 1996. Actually, that time you all are like grandfathers and grandmothers. ඔයාලා ගිය ආත්මේ ආච්චිලා සීයලා ඒ කාලේ මම ඉගෙන ගන්න කාලේ. හරි මම පොඩි. ඔයාලා ලොකුයි. ඔයාලා ගොඩක් වයසයි. ඉතින් ඒ කාලේ තමයි මම ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ඉගෙන ගත්තේ 1996. At that time also we had initially 1995 and all we had black and white monitors. Most famous output device was black and white monitor that time. අපේ කාලේ monitors තිබ්බා පටන් ගන්නකොට. අපි ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ අම්මලගේ තාත්තලගේ කාලේ පොඩක් අහලා බලන්න. I think they were use printers mainly. Keyboard එකට connect කරපු print එකක් තිබුණේ. Keyboard with the printer. Right? Okay. So let's come to the third generation. Integrated circuit. ICs were famous. IC or integrated circuits. Integrated circuits were famous actually by combining several transistors together. ICs were created here. By combining several transistors together, the IC was created. By combining several transistors and the logics. So this is how ICs were created. And when it comes to the fourth generation microprocessors, you can call large scale integration and very large scale integration. Large scale integration and very large scale integration. This is VLSI, LSI. These microchips were used in the fourth generation.
Teacher,
Those
you will
were really fast.
sir, you
So
will
speed
say
was
the
measured
AIs,
in
right?
million instructions per second or picoseconds. Million and smaller in size. It was possible to move computer from one place to another place. So you had personal computers, especially. Personal means තනියෙන් තමන්ට computer එකක් තැනකට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන්. Desktop is possible to keep the computer in your palm. So we call palm tops. It was possible to keep your computer in your lap, which is called laptop, and possible to keep the computer in the desk, which is called desktop. So this is in the fourth generation. And you can see the measurement units. First millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond, picosecond. And on the other hand, you can say this is kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz, and so basically hertz, kilohertz, megahertz, and gigahertz. So those are the ranges here. Hertz to megahertz range is used to measure the speed of CPU. Kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz. Right? 1000 hertz is kilohertz, 1000 into 1000 hertz, million hertz is megahertz, then billion hertz is gigahertz, trillion hertz is terahertz. Okay, now actually we have come to the summary of the lesson. We learn about what is CPU. CPU has few components: arithmetic and logical unit, control unit, cache and registers. Cache is a special memory, high-speed memory inside the processor. Registers are also high-speed memories inside processor. Registers are memory cells, whereas cache memory is a memory. Actually, this part is missing here. So let me add that branch. That is very important, but missing. In between this, you have cache memory. C-A-C-H-E, cache memory. So which is also important component of a central processing unit. ALU performs arithmetic and logical calculations, whereas CU is sending control signals to all the components. It's not controlling, but sending control signals. Cache and memory registers are faster memory locations in the processor. And we learn about different core processors, multi-core processors, physically and logically. So there are number of cores. So, and also we learn about the technology. Next day, we will be starting learning about operating system. One request before we move to the next day. So I think you can remember that we learn about virtual machines. We learn about different operating systems in this chapter. Those who were in the class. So please reinstall the virtual machine if you don't have. You can install VirtualBox. And also try to install several operating systems if possible. Mint Linux, Ubuntu Linux, Hantana Linux. So try to download and install that Linux or some other version in your computer. But don't format your computer. You have to create a virtual computer inside your computer. At the computer එක ඇතුලේ virtual එකක් හදාගන්න. ඒකට virtual box පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. අපි කලින් කියලා දුන්නා. දන්නේ නැති කට්ටිය ඉන්නවනම් කමන්නේ මම next day කියලා දෙන්න. I'll teach you that next week. Okay, then stay safe. See you all next week. Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you, sir. Derwan sir, nice.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.